Hello, everyone, welcome back to the channel War Horizon. Please subscribe and like my videos. Today, we dive deep into one of the most shocking and strategic twists in the ongoing conflict, how Ukraine outsmarted Russia's advanced jet patrols, powerful jammer networks, and multi-layered air defense systems, striking directly at the heart of Crimea. What appeared impossible just a year ago has now become not only possible, but a repeating reality. Ukraine has taken warfare innovation to a completely new level, transforming the battlefield with creativity, adaptability, and technology that the world once underestimated. This moment marks a turning point in modern military strategy, where precision, intelligence, and asymmetrical tactics outweigh raw firepower. In today's breakdown, we will explore the exterior of this operation, the interior mechanics behind the strategy, the performance of Ukrainian weapons and drones, the safety features built into this mission to minimize collateral damage, the unique selling points that make these operations so effective, the actual price Ukraine paid and saved through unconventional tactics, and a powerful conclusion that highlights where this conflict could go from here. From the outside, the exterior of this operation looked like just another night over Crimea. Russian radars glowing across the peninsula, patrol jets roaring overhead, S-300 and S-400 systems on full alert, and electronic warfare towers sweeping the sky with powerful jamming signals. The Kremlin believed it had built an impenetrable bubble, a fortress of electronic noise and missile coverage that nothing could slip through. But appearances can be deceiving. Ukraine's exterior tactical signature was intentionally disguised with low-visibility drones, silent long-range strike systems, and decoys that misled Russian sensors. Some drones appeared as swarms, some as lone unidentified blips, while others mimicked the radar signature of cruise missiles, causing Russian operators to miscalculate real threats. The exterior approach was deceptive, unpredictable, and intentionally chaotic from Russia's point of view. Ukrainian drones flew at different altitudes, different speeds, and different entry angles, creating confusion, overloading Russian radars, and forcing their interceptors to constantly shift between targets. This was the first layer of Ukraine's operational exterior, a battlefield illusion so dynamic that even Russia's most advanced jets, like the Su-30SM and Su-35, struggled to lock on. Anti-drone systems were left trying to catch shadows, and what Russia thought was its strongest shield became an oversized, overworked, and overwhelmed system. Inside this operation, the interior mechanics were far more complex, deep, and sophisticated than the world expected. Ukraine's intelligence network worked with satellite imaging, surveillance systems, and electronic signal analysis to understand exactly how Russia's air defense grid behaved at different times of day. Analysts mapped radar refresh cycles, jammer strengths, and blind zones created by terrain. They studied when patrol jets took off, how long they stayed airborne, how often Russian crews rotated, and which radars experienced power fluctuations. Ukraine also used captured Russian equipment to reverse engineer frequency patterns, decoding how certain radars reacted to various types of drone signatures. The interior planning went beyond technology. It included psychological warfare. Ukrainian strategists predicted how Russian operators would react to stress, fatigue, and repeated false alarms. They knew that after weeks of minor drone activity, Russian forces would begin ignoring certain signals or delaying their response times. This human factor became part of the interior strategy. The drones themselves were modified with layered navigation systems that adapted when jammed. If GPS was blocked, they switched to inertial navigation. If that was interfered with, they used pre-programmed terrain-following algorithms. If both failed, they relied on backup low-frequency guidance. Some drones even used passive radar, homing modes, meaning they flew toward the source of Russian jamming instead of being pushed away, turning Russia's own electronic warfare into a beacon. The interior design of this operation was a masterpiece of modern warfare, a combination of intelligence, engineering, psychological analysis, and battlefield adaptation. It formed a brain behind the exterior chaos, a system that learned from every flight, every interception, and every Russian mistake. While Russia relied on large, rigid military structures, Ukraine built flexible, modular, evolving systems that improved with every mission. The interior mechanics were not just about weapons. They were about understanding an entire enemy ecosystem and dismantling it from the inside out. The performance of this strike proved that Ukraine's new generation drones and long-range weapons are no longer symbolic. They are operational, effective, and transformative. The drones demonstrated incredible endurance, flying hundreds of kilometers with minimal noise and heat signatures. They managed to evade Russian fighter jets, bypass electronic jamming, and outsmart missile batteries designed to stop even NATO-grade threats. In some cases, Ukrainian drones flew so low that Russian radars lost them entirely. In other cases, the drones intentionally flew high to divert Russian attention away from a second wave approaching from a different direction. Their accuracy was stunning, striking key Russian targets in Crimea, including military depots, command centers, radar installations, and even Hive-Al-U aircraft stationed on the ground. Russian jets attempted interception, but by the time they scrambled, the drones were already splitting into unpredictable flight patterns. Russian electronic warfare units blasted the airwaves with jamming signals, yet Ukraine's drones continued flying calmly toward their destinations. Performance also included coordination, multiple waves launched hours apart but designed to arrive simultaneously from different directions. Each drone played a role. Some were decoys, some were disruptors, and some were precision attackers. Ukraine did not rely on a single type of weapon. It combined drones, cruise, missile, like UAV, and covert guided munitions to create a multi-layered assault. The performance proved one clear truth: adaptability beats rigidity. Ukraine's weapons evolved faster than Russia's defenses could react. Safety features played a major role in this entire operation. Ukraine had to strike deep into Russian-occupied territory while minimizing risk to civilians, infrastructure, and non-combat zones. Unlike Russia's large, destructive missile attacks, Ukraine used drones with controlled explosive payloads designed for precision rather than mass destruction. The drones were programmed to avoid civilian areas, power stations, hospitals, and residential zones. Instead, they followed calculated routes that led them directly to military targets. Their guidance systems included fail-safes. If a drone lost control, it would shut down or crash harmlessly instead of veering off course. Ukraine also used real-time satellite tracking to confirm that targets were purely military and that no civilians were present nearby. In addition, the safety features of the operation included controlled escalation. Ukraine ensured that the strikes focused on Russia's military capabilities rather than symbolic or high-casualty targets. This approach preserved international support and avoided giving Russia justification to escalate with more aggressive actions. Even during intense operations, Ukraine maintained a disciplined framework. Military targets only, precision only, minimal risk beyond the intended strike zone. The unique selling points of this operation reflect why Ukraine has become a major innovator in modern warfare. First, Ukraine leveraged asymmetric strategy, using low-cost drones to neutralize multi-million-dollar Russian equipment. a drone costing a few $1,000s successfully forced Russia to launch expensive interceptor missiles worth millions each. Second, Ukraine used adaptability as a weapon. While Russia depended on traditional military doctrine, Ukraine rewrote the book with creative engineering, rapid prototyping, and independent drone manufacturing groups. Third, Russia's own jamming used against them was a huge advantage. Ukrainian engineers designed drones that locked onto the source of jamming signals, turning Russia's electronic warfare towers into targets instead of defenses. Fourth, this operation demonstrated that Ukraine can strike deep into Crimea repeatedly despite Russia calling it impenetrable. Every successful hit weakens Russian morale, exposes weaknesses in their defenses, and shows that occupation does not equal safety. Fifth, this operation sends a global message. Modern warfare is no longer about who has the biggest army, but who has the smartest one. When discussing price, Ukraine's approach shows a stark contrast in cost efficiency. Traditional missile strikes cost nations millions of dollars per shot, but Ukraine achieved the same strategic effect using drones costing between a few hundred to a few $1,000s. The price of a single Russian S-400 missile can range in the millions. The price of scrambling jets like the Su-35 includes tens of thousands of dollars in fuel and operational cost. Meanwhile, Ukraine's drones forced Russia to waste enormous financial resources defending against small, inexpensive threats. The true price Ukraine paid was effort, innovation, engineering hours, and intelligence collaboration. But financially, the operation was extremely cost-effective. Because Ukraine repurposed commercial parts, 3D printed components, homemade navigation systems, and open-source engineering concepts, the value-to-cost ratio was remarkably high. Russia invested billions in its Crimean defense network. Ukraine bypassed it with tools less expensive than a family car. In modern warfare, price is not just about dollars. It's about efficiency per result, and Ukraine achieved one of the highest efficiency ratios ever seen in a conflict of this scale. In conclusion, the strike that outsmarted Russia's jets and jammer networks marks a new era of warfare and a major milestone in the Ukraine-Russia conflict. Ukraine has proven that intelligence, creativity, and adaptability can dismantle even the most heavily defended military zones. The operation's exterior showcased deceptive, unpredictable tactics that overloaded Russian defenses. The interior revealed a deep strategic brain built on engineering, psychology, and intelligence. The performance demonstrated high endurance, precision, and coordination. Safety features ensured minimal collateral damage, reinforcing Ukraine's controlled and ethical approach. Unique selling points highlighted Ukraine's technological evolution, cost efficiency, and strategic mastery. The price comparison showed that Ukraine achieved massive impact with minimal financial cost. The strike on Crimea is more than a battlefield success. It is a message to the world that innovation wins wars, not size. As the conflict continues, this operation will be remembered as one of the boldest and smartest military maneuvers of the war, reshaping strategies for years to come. And as always, we will continue covering these critical developments right here on the channel War Horizon. Make sure to subscribe and like the videos to stay updated with the latest and most important insights on the Russian-Ukraine war.